What has been happening in the last week has been essentially a situation where the victims.
Hello, my great and wonderful people. We welcome you once again to our today's episode of this program. And today we get this video for our team. We quickly receive from Barrister Dele Farotimi, a human rights activist. The recent video when it just dropped to explain totally the things when ABC, yes, it lead us gradually into a chaotic country, more especially for the citizens of Nigeria and also the government of Nigeria. Please, this man take it time to explain society things, most especially this reaction when ABC it they happen from the northern region of Nigeria. It deep in hand into society details when ABC, even the northerners, they need to listen to this very video. Not be only the northerners, the southeasterners, the southwesterners, and the middle belts.
What has been happening in the last week has been essentially a situation where the victims are reacting to the actions of their oppressors. Don't worry, I'll take the time to explain this. In the natural order of things, there's what you call seed time, and then there is harvest time. So if you plant, you will reap what you have planted, because every seed reproduces after its kind. I recall a verse in the Bible. It says that for the fathers have eaten sour grapes, and the children's teeth are set on edge. Cause and effect. The more classic definition is when you look at the doctrine of causality. It says that a thing or event causes another thing or event. The first thing or event is called the cause. The second is called the effect. Sometimes you have ripple effects. What you're seeing on the streets of Nigeria, save to a very large extent the land of the Oriental brothers and sisters, Igbo. What you have seen in the last week is a reaction, violently, sad to say, in most cases, to the cause, or shall I say the causes, all rooted in the same thing. Even the silence of Igbo and their attempt at staying above the fray is in itself a reaction. Let them not say we did it. Let's stay out of it. Let it not be said we are the reason. Let it not be said we started it. So Igbo has kept quiet. Cause and effect. The northern streets are boiling. Cause and effect. But if I speak about cause and effect, you must understand that there are intended causes and then there are unintended causes. There are intended outcomes and then there are unintended consequences. They are easily foreseeable and desirable consequences, not necessarily desirable to the victim, but desirable to those who initiated the cause. And then there are unintended and undesirable consequences, all of which was never envisaged or expected by those who initiated the cause. Let us attempt to break this down one by one. Exactly what may be said to be the cause? What exactly may we say to be the cause? What I have done is to list a litany, outline a litany of what has led us to where we are today. A man comes into office. Even if we took the INEC figures as a given, even if we assume that Mahmoud Yakubu is not a crook, I'm using those words deliberately. Even if we assume that Mahmoud Yakubu is saintly and he had acted in good faith and released the original result, and if we accept that what has been given is the real result, it still shows that a larger percentile of the country did not vote for the person who is sat in Aso Rock today. That is the reality. I am a Democrat, even though I live in an undemocratic environment. Even though I know that the man did not win the election, let me presume to him that he has won. And it is on the basis of this presumption that one might be able to engage. Let us presume that this man won. It does not change the fact that he's sitting there on the basis of the mandate of a narrow minority. This doesn't change that reality. Since he became the president, how has he sought to govern for all? Let me remind us. The president's first executive action was to announce the removal of the fuel subsidy. Argument for or against that, we can leave to the academics. But we know today, thanks to the quarrel or squabble with Dangote, we know as a fact who is receiving our subsidy money. The subsidy that was publicly cancelled was privately resumed. And it was privately resumed is up in the air. Everybody is drinking Malta now. That's in one area. The multiplier effect of that singular pronouncement has meant that costs have literally gone through the roof. Food inflation is about 300% or more in most cases. Some things have become completely unavailable. A bag of rice, 85,000 or 90 in some cases. The man's salary, 70,000. That is what the government has recommended and signed into law. A lot of states are unable to pay that. A lot of private employers are incapable of making that payment. There is a bleak reality out there for a whole lot of people. Begging is on another scale. People who would never ever beg anybody have been turned into beggars over the last 1 year. The quality of life has become horrible for everybody. In the midst of that, the security situation in the northern part of Nigeria has degenerated completely. When we in the south hear of banditry, what we think of most of the time, because that is our own encounter with banditry, we think of when you're traveling on the highway and you might get kidnapped, or if you're living in Abuja and they walk into your home and kidnap you wholesale. So it's either you're on the road to get kidnapped or you live around Kaduna or Abuja. That is the impression of the average southerner. But the reality is that the northerner, for him, banditry means he's unable to go to his farm. He's unable to stay in his village. The rural area has been despoilated. Banditry means there is illegal mining going on in which the police, the DSS, the military, the government officials, emirs are complicit. But because of their complicity, it's completely abandoned and the Nigerian press is not reporting what is going on. So for him in the north, you've got complete disruption of his way of life. Now, here is the thing. The Nigerian press, complicit in the mess, compromised almost beyond redemption, do not report these truths. So the North is left alone. So when we're talking insecurity, we rarely ever speak to the pains of the North because we are rarely ever properly informed about the pains of the North. So here is what has now happened. Because of the unprecedented amount of hunger, the level of multidimensional poverty that has been layered on top of the existing structured poverty of the Northern Earth, what you have today is that for the first time in 37 years, let me repeat myself. Did I get that right? The last time the North was involved and was part of a national movement for change was in 1986, 1987, during the SAP riots in the Babangida years. In the immediate aftermath of the SAP riot, the government took a deliberate decision to divide Nigerians along ethnic and religious lines. In the North, Islam was weaponized on campuses to ensure that northern campuses were unable to respond to national calls for strikes. In the South, fraternities were militarized so that we were unable to speak with one voice in most cases. When issues came up that should unite us, we begin to speak in divisive tones, and Nigerians were steadily and deliberately divided. Trade unions were infiltrated. Nigerian Labour Congress, the Nigerian Medical Association, Nigerian Barr, every influential trade organization, every collective that used to speak with solidarity, ASU, all of them infiltrated and factionalized just to ensure that they were unable to speak with one voice. So the North has never, since 1987, been part of a national movement for change. All that has ever happened is that the people in the North, the common men, were weaponized and used to maintain the status quo. So every time there was a national movement for change called out in the southern part of Nigeria, where the pains of the victimization of the system are largely felt, what tended to happen was that the South will be speaking in one way, the North will be speaking in another way, structured to be like that, systemized and maintained since 1987. In recent times, I've had occasion to speak, and I have said, I think about 4 or 5 years ago, that until the North is ready for change, Nigeria will not change. The North is ready for change now, but the leaders of the North, are they ready for change? This is a call out. This is a call out because when you leave a people devoid of purpose, what you find is the chaos and anarchy that we have witnessed on northern streets in recent days. I would explain. Once upon a time, it was the politicians who harmed and maintained the mobs and directed them to purposes. And then there were traditional levers of powers that also could mobilize these mobs on the street. And then there are the madrasas, the sheikhs and imams. Today, cause and effect. All these levers were largely pressed into service in ensuring the emergence of Bola Ahmed Tinubu as president of Nigeria in fulfillment of the many lies that have been told to the people that religion would somehow evaporate our problems. In forgetting completely that God has left the governance of this earth to the sons and daughters of men. It is up to us to fix our country. Saudi Arabia is not less Islamic than Nigeria. Look at Saudi Arabia today under bin Salman. Look at Dubai. They're Muslim countries. Look at Qatar. Those are Muslim countries, but it hasn't stopped them from progressing. Every country develops on the back of hegemonies. What has the hegemony that produced Bola Ahmed Tinubu done for Nigeria? You've destroyed Nigeria. That's essentially what has been done. That hegemony has members from across the length and breadth of Nigeria. I'm not suggesting that it's a northern thing alone, but the northern prerogative is real. We cannot pretend that it is not there. It is there. But what has it done? What you're seeing on your streets, your inability to speak to your people, is because you are the ones who have sustained the lies to the point where you are at today, and it's almost impossible for you to now tell them the truth of what will bring back peace to the north. But I'll suggest a few to you, if you will allow me to. Peace can only be guaranteed by justice. Justice can only be guaranteed by equity. Equity can only be guaranteed by love. Each and every one of us must embrace this doctrine and understand very clearly that if we sow storms, we will reap exactly whatever it is that we have sown. All right, so now we have a president. In the midst of crippling, grinding, biting inflation, the president and the National Assembly voted 21 billion to renovate, hear me, renovate the vice president's house. 70 billion naira was voted to the National Assembly members to buy SUVs, as 160 million naira for each one for senators and House of Reps members. 4 billion naira was voted to renovate Dodan Barrack. Another 3 billion for Aguda House. 5 billion was given to the Presidential Task Force, a Tax Reform Committee, less than 20 members. 1.5 billion was given to purchase cars for the First Lady, an office unknown to our Constitution. Judges, for job well done, got 300% salary increase. I'm not complaining, no. I'm not saying judges should starve. 5 billion was budget for presidential fleet. At least one repo, they will buy fuel now, have you? Every senator gets 21 million naira monthly. No, don't worry. I didn't forget the reps. 13.5. This government voted it.
All right, my great and wonderful people. I believe you don't listen to the total details of this very video by Dele Farotimi. I believe yes, time don't really reach for all of us to wake up. Yes. And the only problem when they see here, even upon all this explanation of past, the people when they this people they use, they not really feel they understand all this grammar. They know they understand. Which people like this, like Dele Farotimi, if they use Hausa, they translate all these messages to Hausa, they distribute them to other parts of this northern Nigeria. Make that they understand in details what really they go on. Because majority of those people want to say that they use, as we talked earlier, they know they understand English language. They know they understand all this grammar when they say when they speak. They know they understand. That is why they easily use them like that for their own favor and against the desire of Nigerians. All right, so talking concerning this matter, we'll leave you to share your own opinion with us in the comment section. Once again, we say God bless Barrister Dele Farotimi. Share your own opinion with us as we draw the line here. We will see you again when we see you. Remember, we love you all. Bye-bye.